How you
Yes,
doing, Alicia?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. How's things in Nashville these days?
Very humid and hot, about 90 degrees, but traffic hasn't been bad lately, so
That's always a
fine.
plus. Now, saying that you're in Nashville, I have to say that the record Sugaregg does not sound like a typical Nashville record. It sounds
Mhm.
much noisier and something maybe out of like the underground scene in Chicago. So
Oh, yeah, I like that. I
you
like
like that?
that.
Okay, good. All right. So why is that like that? What's happening here?
Well, I'm not from Nashville. I never intended to be here as long as I am. But I will say, I mean, I've been here for like 11 years, so I've been here for a while. But
Yeah.
as soon as I got here, I started running sound at a venue that booked primarily rock bands, and I've only really known the rock scene in Nashville. So
Right.
it's not too crazy for me, and now it's such a hub for musicians of any genre that it's
Yep.
not as different as it was before, for sure. It's getting a little bit more diverse. But yeah, it's weird. It's weird to be here for sure.
Yeah. So I'm assuming, and correct me if I'm wrong, that part of the reason that the record sounds like it does is because you spent some time with Steve Albini and kind of had him mentor you earlier.
Yeah, I don't know if that really reflects on the sound of the record, but
Right.
definitely in sorry, my dog is, it's okay, come here.
I see
Let's
him.
take I have two.
I'm
A
meeting
small
I'm
one
meeting
and a
all I'm meeting all the pets of all the musicians around the world these
yeah,
days. It's fantastic.
yeah. But a lot of like Bully's, the stuff that the first two records, which I engineered at Electrical Audio, were very influenced by the studio and what I
Right.
picked up there in the analog gear there for sure.
Right. So what kind of things did you learn from him?
A lot of it was microphone placement and what microphones to use where, and like, signal flow and aligning the tape machines and all that stuff. That was why I ended up there, was because when I was studying audio engineering, analog recording made a lot more sense to me because it's just a lot more physical than in the computer. It's like
Yeah.
Pro Tools replicates an analog transport. So yeah, I went there for the analog gear and then kind of learned the story about the studio and everything while I was there, and after the fact. And it was just all in all a great experience.
Yeah, very cool. So you've got John Congleton helping you out on this record.
Mhm.
Why did you select him to be chosen to work with?
I had conversations with a few different engineers, and I just felt really comfortable when we were speaking. And I think actually a lot of it had to do with he was once an intern at Electrical. I didn't
Oh,
know he was
okay.
an intern until someone else told me that the other day. But him and I talked, and I knew he had worked out there a good amount and knew a lot of the people that I knew, and so it was kind of a comforting thing.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I mean, it was nice. We just hopped on the phone, and everything was really natural, and he was just really upfront about, wondering. He was just like, why are you doing this? Like, why do you want someone else to engineer it? I know you can engineer it. What is your intention here?
Yeah, yeah,
And I
yeah.
was like, I don't want to have to worry about the engineering side of things. I feel like the engineering side and the musical side were being compromised on the last two records by having to take on that load. And I sort of was just like, I've never really been in the studio with having someone else take the reins on engineering, so you're gonna have to bear with me. I'll try to not micromanage, and I didn't at all because
Oh,
we
good
got
on
in
you.
the
Because that was going to be my next question.
yeah, no, I got in the studio and I was like, this is great. I don't care what microphones you're using, like do
Right.
whatever you want. I mean, for the mixes, I was definitely a pain in the ass, but
But
during the
that's
recording,
normal.
yeah, it was great. It was my most enjoyable recording experience
Well,
by
that's good
far.
to know. Because Bully now is pretty much just you. It's not a group thing anymore. Was that
Mm-hmm.
a conscious decision you made, or did it just kind of naturally turn out that way?
Um, I it kind of naturally turned out that way a little bit.
Right.
It was always kind of complicated. Like the lines were always kind of blurred because I never like sat down and wrote with anyone else,
Right.
even with the last two lineups. But I think this is like officially, I can be like, this is a solo thing. But no, our bass player was going to go back to school to get his master's. And then I just decided it was time to part ways with the guitar player. It just, we had been playing together for a really long time and it was just time for a change. And I wanted to hit the reset button and just kind of work alone. And it was great. So it was a little bit of both.
Cool. So you do have a couple guys working with you, Wesley Mitchell on drums and Zach Dawes on the bass. Is that you on the most of the guitar playing?
Yeah, I did all the guitars and then wrote the bass parts for Where to Start, Let You, and Hours and Hours. Like the songs that sound like they were written on bass.
Yep, there are a few, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guitar on it. I mean, there's a big noise there. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. There's too much guitar. I have videos of each song, how I play everything, because sometimes there's like 3 guitar parts going on at once and I'll forget everything. So during the writing process, I videotaped all of it and then have to like go back and revisit the notes before I went in to record. And yeah, the process.
So was John Congleton pretty much just the technical guy there, or did you bounce ideas off him musically as well?
More so the technical guy. I definitely, if I was like going back and forth between lyrics, I'd be like, which one do you like better? Which one sounds less corny? Or he was really great at like figuring out how Zach and I got along so well, and for the most part it was like easy peasy. I'd be like, maybe not that, try this, or this is more of what I'm looking for, and he would know. But he is like a musical theory genius and I have no musical theory in my brain at all. So like sometimes I would not know how to vocalize what I'm looking for, where I'm looking for him to go on the bass, and it was really wild. John could just walk in and be like, what are you guys talking about? And then he would hear what I have to say and he goes, John would look at Zach and he go, I think she wants you to play this note. And he would try it and I was like, that's exactly the note I was looking for.
Nice.
That was really cool to like watch him do his thing in that way. That was great.
Right. Now I was reading some of the press stuff that came with the record, and according to what I read, you kind of looked at this as a fresh start, addressing personal issues. Now, obviously, the nature of personal issues is that they're personal, so I don't want to, pry. But maybe you can just give me an idea of what that's all about.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot. I just felt like I was in a better state mentally, and with the last record before, I was like at the peak of getting my bipolar diagnosis, and so like after that, I kind of like went through a year of treatment or just on and off going through different medications and stuff and trying to like get to the right place, because all that stuff is really temperamental. Like when you have to build up on all the medications and then add more and then build back down if it's not working and add more and see what your insurance is going to charge you $500 for. I'm not joking. One of my medications is like $500.
I believe it. Yeah.
It's crazy. I have to like find crazy coupons to bring it down. It really is like the healthcare here is just disgusting. But anyway, and I felt like being able to take care of that, which was something I really needed to take care of, and just not tour for a little bit and focus on that, really reset my brain. It was what needed to happen, and I was kind of able to manage that more, and then also just like get in a better routine. Like I really, really have to, even now, like on medications and therapy and stuff, I have to do so much just to like stay at a level headspace to like stay up, and it's just like little things like meditating or doing yoga. I have to exercise or my brain will just eat itself alive, and it just takes a lot of work, and it's easy to slip out of that. And when you're on the road, you don't always feel like you have control of that, and I think it just got pretty grim.
So maybe it's a good thing that everybody's locked down and you're not on the road. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. I mean, I love touring. It's my favorite thing in the world, and I love playing live, and it's such a good outlet for any negative energy. But it's been such a learning process to learn how to do it in a healthy way, because you first start going on the road and it's kind of like party and you're eating like junk food and you're just like figuring everything out. And then you get to a point where you are a little older and you're like, okay, if I want to actually maintain being able to tour for a living, I need to change something. Like something's got to change. And it's funny watching everyone kind of like transform to like, well, I'm going to get up and work out and let's look for like the healthiest stuff to eat. And everybody is like really actively putting in the effort to try and be healthy. Right. So it's nice now. And I know like the last people that I went on the road with were all so supportive and all on the same page. And it was like, we're not getting crazy. We're not doing that. It's just like not something that I can handle. And it's not good. It won't last. So I'm excited to go back on the road. Now, this will be my first time touring sober, which is like kind of scary, or without alcohol. So that'll be a challenge, but I played a couple shows without drinking before this record came out and I got through them. So
yeah, good on you. Excellent. And are you playing with the guys who played on the record or?
No, just Wes I will play with. He's the drummer.
Right.
And then I have just like a hired lineup for the road.
Gotcha. And so maybe we can touch on a couple of the songs on the record to understand them a little bit more. You mentioned about the bass on some of them, and one of the ones that I noted was on the song "Let You" starts out with a very nice little bass intro, and then it kind of goes into this big feedback and squealing thing at the end. So how do you get from one to the other there? Tell me about it.
When I writing it on bass, I feel like then I'd use guitar to just, since the melody is carried on bass, I use guitar to like, I feel like I can do it a little more sporadically and kind of play around with vocals and little harmony chirps and guitar parts since they're not really carrying the song. I mean, I would say the vocals are equally, but a lot of that was just like, okay, I've got the bass line here, I've got the vocals, how can I use the guitars to just build it up, like to hit for the chorus? And I have like this e-bow pedal, which is an electronic bow, and you pretty much like hold it up to your guitar like you're holding a bow up to it, and it creates a lot of feedback, and I messed around with that a lot. And then cool. I have one crazy pedal that is like I can also create like a crazy sounding ring, and I use that, and I don't know, it's just like for one of those songs, it's like in my head the verses are supposed to be contained and the choruses just need to like slam. And actually with that feedback and Let You, I didn't intend on keeping it in, and then it just worked like in the mix to have it just set it off because it's so loud, it's like so abrupt. And then I was like, you know what, I kind of like it, I'm just gonna keep it.
No, it's pretty cool. I liked it. And the track before that, which is called You, sounds very cathartic, and it also sounds like it was written about something specific. I don't know if you want to go into that or not, or if it was, but tell me.
There's a little bit of storytelling there. It's a little bit of storytelling there. Yeah, I don't know. I love You. I had so much fun with it. It was like some parts were real, some were where I would lead the story to go in my head, and I just had a lot of fun writing it. I mean, that was one of the first ones on the record because Let You and Where to Start were written after I thought I had completed and recorded the record. I got home from Pachyderm and then actually came back and wrote more and then tracked those. And You was on that first batch of songs, and that was really the first one that I feel like I had fun with. Like I was just sort of like creating this idea of a situation that I would absolutely find myself in and not put on the brakes. And it was just, I don't know, I mean, maybe it doesn't sound fun to write. If you listen to it, it's pretty dark, but for me, it was really fun to write.
Well, that's the catharsis going on there, I guess. And
yeah, and no one skipped anyone's birthday.
Oh, that's a relief.
Yeah. No one skipped their child's first birthday.
That's good to know. But yeah, when you do your vocals, like, are you alone in the studio by yourself and kind of just letting it rip, or do you have anybody there with you, or what's the vibe like?
when I do my demos, I pretty much go into the studio with everything fully done,
Yep.
except for Zach's bass parts on the songs that he played bass on. Everything else was done to the T. So it's like I know can map out, like already have my harmonies and everything mapped out. So by the time I get to the studio, it's not such an experiment. It is experimental still because I'll change it up, but I more so have a better idea. And that like experimenting is what is really cringy to have to do with other people around. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? It's just like kind of embarrassing to be trying different harmonies and sounding horrible. So I do that, all the demoing alone in my house for sure. And
Yeah.
then when I go into the studio, I mean, I'm also alone in the room, but I've already cut out all the stuff that would have been super embarrassing.
Yeah. The album opens up with a song called Added On, which, speaking of screaming, I mean, it's like you put that in the front. It's like, if you can get through this, then we're sweet, right?
Yeah, I don't know why I put that first. I'm like, okay, you're either in or you're out.
Exactly. And I noticed that a line about God lying kind of comes up a couple of times in several of the songs. Do you want to
Yeah,
address that?
yeah. I mean, no, but I will clarify that I am not a religious person,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
more of an idea than it being in the literal sense. Um, you know, sometimes I like to stir the pot a little bit.
Good on you. Good on you. So my understanding is that after you recorded the first batch of songs, you realized that you still needed something else, and you went back to, was it Toronto to record?
Yes.
Yep.
Hmm.
So what made you feel that way?
Um, I I don't know. I didn't feel that way when I left the studio. I felt really good about the record, and um I kind of sat with it for a few weeks, and my manager sat with it, and we just came to the conclusion that there's a lot of solid stuff, but it just something needed to round it out a little bit more. Like something was missing. And
Yep.
I love, like, if anyone's ever like, you should write more, or you should try this, or you should try this, I'm like, absolutely, hell yeah. I love being pushed. It's like
Right.
I thrive off of being pushed. And so, you know, he kind of brought up that idea, and I was like, okay, cool, bring it on. And then I wrote, yeah, like 5 other songs, ended up tracking 3 of them, and then 2 of them were Where to Start and Let You.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah.
And is there anything significantly different from those 2 songs than the other ones that made up the bulk of the album to you?
Yeah, I mean, so after having Hours and Hours on the first, it's funny, Hours and Hours came out as a single because I was actually just messing around with that for fun. Like when I was done working on songs that I knew would be on the record at the end of the day, I would just pull up Hours and Hours and just like add little things here and there. And I was like, oh, this is just like a fun project song for me that no one's going to hear. And I wasn't taking video of anything because I just assumed nothing would come of it.
Right.
Um, and that was the only thing that I had written on bass, and one of the last things that I finished of that first batch of songs. So going into the second round, I was like, I'm gonna stick with the bass because I already wrote so much on guitar for the last record, and I love writing on bass. So I think coming back to the drawing board and just being exhausted with the guitar and switching over to bass definitely led to a little bit of a different sound, because whenever I write with bass, I usually have, like I said, that's like the focus, and then everything else is, there's just more space in the songs.
Right. Right. Yeah. I believe you are correct.
Mm-hmm.
So the record came out on the 21st of August. And I assume you haven't done any gigs or anything. Have you gotten much feedback from fans, from anybody? Is it kind of a weird
Yeah, I think it's
dynamic?
doing much better than any other record that Bully's
Oh,
done.
great.
Yeah, so I'm stoked. It's great news, or at
What
least
kind
that's what the
what are
reviews
they
have
saying
said.
about it?
What?
What kind of things do fans report back to you about it? Do they kind of
There's,
relate them to themselves?
well, all I have, yeah, fans are usually just really awesome and perfect and great and thankful. But a lot of the reviews are just saying like, oh, Bully's best record yet. So
There you go.
I'm like, okay, cool, I'll take it.
Very good. And are you looking forward to getting out on the road? Do you think it's going to happen anytime soon?
Yeah, I'm so looking forward to it. And No, I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. I hope so, but I would say we're at least half a year out still, probably.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I mean, we thought here in New Zealand we were kind of clear and
Yeah.
we're doing gigs and stuff, and then we got a little resurgence, and now we're trying all over again.
Yeah.
So,
The never-ending saga. Once there's a vaccine, I
Yep.
think is the sign.
very good. Well, in the meantime, enjoy your time at home.
Thanks.
Time to make another record, I suppose, at least.
Yeah, definitely. I can't wait.
Excellent. And thank you for talking to me. It's been a real pleasure and been great listening to the record.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Bye-bye.
Bye.